Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're on a pretty critical mission. We're going to take a shortcut right into the source material that looks at the very nature of perception, of consciousness, and, well, what you fundamentally are.
Exactly. We're going past just philosophy and into this fascinating mix of biology and theology to figure out where awareness, truly lives.
And to kick that off, we have to start with what is probably the most mind-bending fact in the sources.
Which is that all knowledge, absolutely everything you think you know about the world outside your head, it gets to your brain as nothing more than electrical signals.
Let's make that real with an example. Vision. Okay, so you're looking at a bright red sunset. That light travels millions of miles, goes through your eye, and it hits your retina. But the second it hits the retina, that light, that color, it's just gone. It's instantly turned into a stream of electrical code.
And that code is then zipped along a neural pathway to this tiny, tiny spot at the very back of your brain.
Yeah.
The visual center.
And here's the wild part, the paradox the sources point to.
Yeah.
The whole act of you seeing that bright, beautiful sunset is happening in a piece of tissue at the back of your skull that is completely 100% dark.
It has never seen light. It will never see light.
And that's not just for vision, right?
Oh, no. It's for everything.
Yeah.
For every single sense. You hear music. Those are just sound waves, physical vibrations that get turned into electrical code.
Yeah.
The actual sound never gets to your brain.
Just the signal?
Just the signal. You smell coffee.
Yeah.
Volatile atoms hit receptors in your nose. There's a chemical reaction, and boom, an electrical signal goes to your brain.
So you're not experiencing the world directly. You're experiencing a constant stream of electrical code that your brain is interpreting.
Which leads to the central question. If your brain is just, proteins and fats, if its atoms are blind and deaf and can't feel joy or sadness, then what is it that is feeling all of this? What is the entity receiving and making sense of this data stream?
Right. If the brain is just the dark room where the movie is projected, then who is in the audience? Who's watching?
And according to this material, the perceiver, the watcher, is a superior living being. It's something far beyond the limits of matter, and it resides inside the physical body.
And this is what the source is called the spirit, or the soul.
Yes. And they also admit that historically there's been a ton of confusion about those two terms. Are they the same thing? Are they different?
So for this deep dive, we really need to nail down the definitions that these sources are working with.
We do, and they're vital. So first, you have the spirit. Think of the spirit as the universal life force. It's the power source for all the body's organs and cells.
So it's responsible for, metabolism, movement, just keeping the lights on.
Exactly. If the spirit leaves, the body becomes inert. It dies instantly. The machine shuts down.
Okay, so that's the spirit. What about the soul?
The soul is your identity, your core self. It's the you that is held accountable for your actions, the part that feels joy, that grieves, that suffers. And crucially, it's the part that will eventually taste death, which just means separating from the body.
So the body is just a temporary tool.
It's a mediator. It's a biological machine that the eternal soul uses to interact with the material world.
The sources have a great analogy for this, right? The car.
Yes, the car analogy makes it really clear. The body is the car. It's a temporary vehicle. It gets old. It needs fuel. It breaks down.
And the soul is the driver, the one who is actually conscious, who feels the bumps in the road, who decides where to go.
And this analogy really helps explain life and death. If the spirit leaves, that's the energy, the engine, then the car itself dies. The body shuts down.
But what about sleep? This is where it gets really interesting. Because when we sleep, the body is still alive. Your heart is beating, you're breathing.
Right, so the spirit is still there. The engine is idling, keeping the physical machine running.
But the soul, the driver, has left the car temporarily.
Precisely. The sources say that in sleep, you lose consciousness in your body because the soul has, stepped away from the wheel. But the soul itself is still aware. It's perceiving things in another unknown world.
And the key takeaway here is that the soul doesn't get tired. It doesn't need to rest. It doesn't age. The body gets worn out, but the soul just leaves and comes back totally unchanged.
Which brings us back to the big picture. What is the point of this life if our bodies are just going to die? And the sources are really clear. Nothing important actually disappears at death. Only the perishable body. The soul continues.
So this earth life isn't the whole story. It's just one part of a much bigger journey. The sources lay out 4 distinct stages.
4 stages for the soul, yes. The first one is called atom life. And this is a pretty abstract concept. It's the idea that the soul existed before the body without a body or a spirit.
And this is when all souls were created at once and bore witness to God.
Right, they all answer the question, am I not your Lord? This kind of establishes the soul's pre-existence.
Then stage 2 is womb life, much shorter. This is when the spirit is breathed into the fetus and the soul enters its physical vessel for the first time.
Then comes stage 3, where we are now, earth life. And the sources call this the most important and the most dangerous stage.
Dangerous.
Because it's the only stage where work happens. It's the only stage where you are held accountable for your actions.
And after this comes the final stage, Barzakh life.
Barzakh life, the intermediary life between your physical death and the final resurrection. And what's absolutely crucial to understand is that it is a life without work.
The window for action has slammed shut.
It's over. Which brings us to the timeline of Earth life. Let's say you live about 70 years. The sources say the real period for work, for accountability, is between, say, 20 and 50.
So 30 years.
30 years. But now you have to factor in sleep. The soul leaves, right? You're not accountable for what happens when you're unconscious. And we spend about a third of our lives asleep.
So you have to subtract a third of that time.
You do. And when you do the math, you take your 30 working years, you subtract the 10 years you spend sleeping, you account for childhood and old age, you're left with maybe 20 years.
20 years?
20 effective years of real work for your eternal soul to accomplish its entire mission on Earth.
That is an incredibly short amount of time. It changes everything.
It does. And it explains why the soul can never really find peace here. The soul's desires are infinite. It wants permanent comfort, perfect health, unlimited resources, youth that never fades.
Things that this temporary body and this fleeting world just can't provide.
Exactly. This tension, this friction between the infinite soul and its very finite container leads us to the biggest challenge of Earth life, what the sources call the Black Leech.
Okay, so this is where the metaphysical and the physical really crash into each other. What is the Black Leech?
The sources describe it as a small black leech, almost like a blood clot, that every single human inherits in their heart, and it directly affects the soul.
And its purpose?
Its purpose is to be Satan's instrument. It's the receiver through which Satan broadcasts his obsessions and his doubts directly into the human soul.
And it grows.
It grows with the body. It has to reach a certain size before Satan's influence can really take hold, which is why it's, small in a child's heart.
Now, the sources point to a very specific piece of evidence for this, don't they? A story from the Hadith.
A very powerful and dramatic one. The story of the Prophet Muhammad when the angel Gabriel came to him, opened his chest, and physically took out his heart.
And from the heart he removed a blood clot.
He removed a blood clot and he identified it explicitly, saying, "This is the part of Satan in you." He then washed the heart with Zamzam water in a golden basin and put it back.
Wow. So they present that as literal physical proof of this internal contaminant.
And the danger is, well, it's existential. If that leech is allowed to spread, it gives Satan control over the soul's actions, its intentions. It creates what the sources call a soul that commands evil.
So let's tie this all together. We start in the dark of the brain with electrical signals. We find out the true perceiver is an infinite soul in a temporary body.
A body that's running on an incredibly short clock. Maybe just 20 years of effective work time.
So the entire purpose of this short, dangerous life is purification.
That's it. The ultimate task in that tiny window of time is to use your senses, your will, your actions to purify the soul from the effects of that black leech. Because contaminating your eternal self, that leads to total loss.
And the sources emphasize the weight of this mission in a pretty incredible way.
They do. They say that God swore an oath in the Quran by 11 great cosmic creatures, the sun, the moon, the sky, the earth.
An oath to what?
To emphasize one single truth, that the one who purifies their soul will succeed and the one who corrupts it is absolutely lost.
That's a cosmic level of importance placed on this one task.
It's the ultimate warning. And the sources seem to lament that most people, they're so caught up in what the body wants, they just increase the spread of this contamination every single day without realizing the timeline they're on or the danger they're in.
So what does this all mean for us? The picture the sources paint is one of a profound cosmic irony. You have this infinite, eternal being, the soul, stuck in a temporary aging machine and given a shockingly short deadline to complete the most important job it will ever have.
So if you accept that premise for a moment, if the soul doesn't age, if it doesn't tire, if its desires are literally infinite, but it's stuck here with maybe just 2 decades of effective work time, what does that imbalance tell you about the true priority of your life? What does it say about the infinite value of that eternal part of yourself?
The pursuit of purification in this view isn't some casual lifelong hobby. It's a sprint against a clock that is ticking down much, much faster than you think.